Everybody. My name is Bill Evans, again with Awareness Technologies. I am a sales engineer here, and I'm going to walk us through some different things, basically just some recent features that are relatively new with software. The point of these webinars is to kind of share some new things that are happening and make sure that people that have the software are kind of getting the most out of the licenses that they do have, and of course learning new ways to get value out of it. So what I would urge you all to do is ask any questions that you have. There's a tab in the webinar interface under questions where you can type out a question. So feel free to type questions, and at the end I will go over those questions together. So I'm going to share my screen here. And yeah, so we're going to go over a few different topics. So what we're going to do first, I think the first thing we actually talked about, I'm actually not going to do the one that we're not going to go over those quite in order of how they appeared, I think, in the email, because I'm going to go over the mobile interface a little bit later. That is a new piece. But so the first thing I'm going to go over is continuous screenshots. And that is a relatively new space or new kind of feature for cloud-based customers. So in the past, you've always had that option for people that are hosting the data on their own server, but for the cloud-based customers, which is the majority of you guys, continuous screenshots was not an option. It was really only going to be something that's triggered by a website or program. So when somebody opens up, say, Chrome, or they open up Windows Media Player, or they open up Facebook, it's going to take a screenshot every 5 seconds for 30 minutes, say, and you set all of those things. But now you can say, hey, you know what, I don't even care what they're using. I just want to see screenshots on that person's computer all the time, every 5 seconds for whenever the computer's turned on and they're working at it. So that can be useful certainly for an investigation or somebody that you're having to better understand what they're doing, or you know, just for any kind of a security purpose to kind of be able to see, you know, what's on that workspace. So to do that, you would go under the settings piece, which is right here. You'd go to recording and blocking, which is where you choose kind of all of your options for what is and isn't turned off. So you'll see at the bottom here under screenshots, so smart camera screenshots, those are going to be the ones I just talked about that are going to be triggered by a program or website. So we're going to actually turn that off. And then just below, there's a new space that's called continuous screenshots. And again, it's really straightforward. There's no settings other than just the duration, or I'm sorry, the interval by which those screenshots are taken. So continuous screenshots, we're actually going to turn that on, and then we're going to choose our interval. And this is seconds, so you can do anywhere from 5, 10, 15, 30, 60, which is a minute, all the way up to 360, which is 6 minutes. So obviously 5 seconds for, you know, throughout the course of a day can lead to a lot of screenshots. So it's just one thing to be aware is that obviously this is going to burn through more screenshots, and there is an inventory of them, so they're not unlimited, but they're also not expensive to purchase more of them. A group of 10,000 screenshots is only $17. So yeah, so that's basically what you guys would be looking at. I think that does really help certain people in specific situations that need to kind of just see what's happening on that workstation at any given time. You can always have different people with different settings, so you can just build a group, add a user by clicking on the members, and then add a member to one of those specific groups, and then have that group have continuous screenshots. So maybe all of your people start out in the unassigned group, and then you just have one other group, and it's actually just this one person. You want to put this one user into their own group, and that person's going to have continuous screenshots, whereas everybody else is just going to be whenever they open up Facebook or whenever they open up something else. So that's kind of a practical use for it, I would say, without having to do it for everybody if you don't need to. Yeah, so that is the screenshot piece, and of course you can always get those exported out by just going to Dashboard, Exports, and building an export and having just the screenshot sent to you, say, on a daily basis via PDF or via JPEG if you wanted to. The other thing we were going to talk about under that is user behavior reporting, something I've been talking about over the last few webinars we've been running. So it's kind of a newer space, I'd say, within the last 6 months to 9 months or so. And the idea behind user behavior reporting is better understanding the typical average behaviors of your employees. And so what that means is how many times does a certain thing happen. So, you know, if you have an employee, say you have 10 employees, and you want to know, well, what's the average number of keystrokes that my employees press throughout the course of a day? Well, it's going to tally up all of the keystrokes for each of those users and put them in order, and it'll tell you the average. So maybe the average is 600 keystrokes in a given day. So then it will show you that one person is typing, you know, say 1,000 keystrokes. Maybe that's great. Maybe that means they're busy. And the other person here, maybe say John, is only typing 50 keystrokes. So maybe that's a concern. It doesn't always necessarily mean something good or bad. That's more up to you and better understanding, you know, your own industry, your people. What is their job? Do they actually type? Is that part of their job? You know, so you have to look at the data a little bit to understand if it's something that will make you concerned or not, or something that needs to be addressed. The point is to understand the average number of times certain things happen so that you can quickly point out an anomaly or somebody that stands out from that norm. So that's kind of the point there. Another example besides keystrokes would be, say, number of webmails that were sent. So if everyone's using Outlook and you see that there are, you know, the average number of webmails for your office that get sent per day is 2, and everyone's right around there, but there's this one person, Dave, who sends, you know, say 20 webmails a day. I might want to look into that, because why is he sending so much webmail? Is he reaching out to a recruiter? Is he sharing information with competitors? Stuff like that. Bear with me, I'm just looking to pull up an example of that. Let's see, here's one. Awesome, so you guys should be able to see now an example of this report. So just like I was saying, it's going to list your users. It's going to give you the average number that this specific data point happened, and then your high, you know, your high and your low. It's always going to be in descending order, which makes it easy to understand. So emails sent, maybe that's a good reflection of whether or not somebody's doing their job. Total emails, total webmails sent, just as I was just talking about, average is 13. Why is John sending 26? IMs and chats, keystrokes, screenshots, websites visited, that could be useful for sure. Web searches performed, minutes spent using streaming media, I might want to know about that for productivity purposes. This is always going to be a daily recap. It's the day before, so it's looking at a day from start to finish, and it's telling you, you know, hey, here are the average numbers. Because without this data, I mean, who knows how many keystrokes people press? There's really no way to know that, or no one would, I would say, on average, know that type of information without this type of report. So, so let's talk about just how to build that. So under dashboard, which is where all the reporting is, reports. And then you're going to add a report. So this pulls up here. Hopefully you guys have some reports already built, and if you guys ever need help building any reports or walking through a report or editing or getting a different type of data piece or have it delivered in a different way, just reach out to me directly. I can, you know, if I'm not the one handling your account, I can certainly find somebody that is, and get them on the phone with you and walk through it, make sure it's all set up correctly, because I do think that's the value of the software, when it's giving you this information on a scheduled basis without even having to log in to see what's going on. Of course, then you can review the reports. Hey, if something's concerning, then you can log in and review the data, dig into the details if you have to. So to add this, you're going to click on the green button, Add. It's a custom report. And you'll see the 5th option is a daily user behavior report. So you click on that, you name the report. We'll call this daily user behavior report. This is where you're going to choose which categories it's covering. So you can do every single one. You can do just 1 or 2. You can do whatever you need. So how many blocked websites per day? That could be useful. How many websites total visited? That could be useful. Did anybody visit this type of website? You know, adult, or you could change the category, maybe malicious, maybe so many people are pulling in viruses. You know, you want to see 0 for that. So if you do see any, it's valuable information, I think. How many webmails were sent, as I mentioned before. Logon events, so if you have the file tracking piece or enterprise, which is an add-on license that gives you file tracking, it gives you logon events, so was there an off-hours login? Or under file tracking, did somebody add a file to USB? If anybody doesn't have file tracking or the enterprise add-on, certainly reach out. We can talk about what that looks like. It's only a 10% increase in cost to a regular employee monitoring license or sonar license, and it gives you a lot. Did somebody add a file to USB? Did somebody add a file to Dropbox? Did somebody send a webmail with an attachment? What was their logon history? You can also watch anywhere on the computer, including a network drive, to see if somebody added, deleted, renamed, or modified a file. So for data security purposes, it's actually very useful. You know, it's not stopping that from happening, but it's telling you that it did happen, which is really kind of half the battle, I would say. So anyway, if you have that, you can also include that in the behavioral stuff, behavioral reporting. So let's see, Dropbox, sure, I may want to know about that. Going back up to email, again, if you have file tracking, you can also do webmail attachments sent per day. Outlook emails with an attachment, that's already going to be part of any normal employee monitoring license, so that's nothing that you need an add-on for, but this one you would. Application, maybe minutes spent on supported email calls, maybe streaming media would be more useful. Instant message, keystrokes, printing, so you get the idea. You can choose what's important to you. Choose who it's covering. It can cover everybody. It can cover just one group of people, or it can cover literally just one person. So it's based off user. It's a daily report. Choosing an Excel spreadsheet is the best way to go. As I showed you, that's kind of the nature of that report. That's how it has to be built. You'd add your email address here. Just know that you can have multiple recipients of any of these reports. Click Next, click Finish, and it's going to show up under Schedule Report. So that's really it. That's kind of all you need to do to get it set up. And again, I do think it provides a great deal of value in terms of you know, what is it telling you, and what are you learning from it. And again, you're not always going to know just from looking at the numbers, hey, is this good or bad? Somebody's, you know, not typing a lot of keystrokes. Well, it doesn't always mean. It really depends. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing all the time. You have to kind of better, or you just have to dig in a little bit deeper to, well, what does this person do? Do they type a lot? Do they send webmails? Is that part of the job? Are they supposed to go to Facebook? Are they supposed to stream media? Really depends on a lot of things for that. But the point is to kind of pull out, you know, hey, what's the anomaly here? Who stands out from the norm and why? So talked about advanced file tracking. Again, that's the enterprise piece. I think there's a lot of value to be had there. So if you guys don't have that and you're interested, reach out to me directly after this. I'll give my contact info at the end, again, just in case you don't have it. User behavior reporting, we just talked about alert word lists and email notifications. I will talk about that now. So alert word lists, I think alert words are great. The point of an alert word is to find out whenever somebody types a specific word on the screen. You also have the choice of telling it to let you know not only when somebody types a word, but when it appears on the screen. But you will get more false positives if you do appears, because when somebody goes to a web page and you specify an alert word and you say, hey, I want to know whenever somebody types the word recruiter. And recruiter might actually, when you go to a web page, it might be in the very bottom of the page. You have to scroll down, but when you capture that screenshot, it won't actually even be on the screenshot of the interface itself, because it's either in the code of the page or it's at the bottom of the page. And so you get more false positives with viewing, and you can choose whether it's to be typed or viewed or both. So under settings, recording and blocking. So again, if you want it to be like 100% accurate or really just much more bulletproof for the non-positives, then just do typed, because obviously if they type something, it's going to be on the screen. So alert word screenshots is the last option. Turn it on, click settings. And then this is where you're going to choose the category of what is being captured. So was it typed, was it viewed, or was it both? And if this was a real account, you'd be able to choose these categories. So yeah, so as far as how do you build those categories, down to the same space, settings, alert words. Important thing to note is that we do have some pre-built lists for different alert word categories that I would say are very common. The two most commonly asked for ones that I do think are useful are bad words or swear words. We have a list of swear words. People got pretty creative and built a list, and so that is useful. And then job search words. So Indeed, Monster.com, Career Builder, LinkedIn, Recruiter, Resume, Contract, Salary, stuff like that. So if they type one of those words or send webmails to people looking for work while on company time, that is important stuff to know for sure. So to add these categories and build your words, you're adding a category first. So you press add, you type in the category name, it appears. You then click on that category and you add a word or a group of words to that category. So you can type in specific words. You can add we use regex, so like if something is a regular expression or something that could be a social security number or could be a credit card number, we do have the ability to do that. Or even easier, if you already have a list, you can just upload a file. It's a CSV file, and it will just populate right into the account. So we have some pre-built lists, just like I just mentioned. If you guys want that, reach out to me directly via email or give me a call, and I could send them right over to you. They're not hard to put in there. So basically just click to upload. You're going to save the file, and then you're browsing your computer for that file. So yeah, so that's how that works. As far as being notified when somebody types one of these words, because again, sometimes it's nice to know of these things the second that they happened. Under settings, notifications, you can basically get an immediate response to, hey, somebody typed this word. So to add that notification, same thing under this green button that says add. You have a couple different notifications. So if you have the file tracking piece, there's a notification based around the behavioral piece that we went over before. So you set parameters and basically say, hey, if somebody only types 50 or less keystrokes in a day, I want to know about it. Now it's not going to tell you the day that it happens because it's based on a day. It's a day snapshot, right? So it's like looking at the day. Hey, if that wasn't met for this day, the next day you're getting this report, and it's going to tell you somebody didn't type at least 50 keystrokes. Somebody sent more than 10 webmails. Somebody visited more than 20 sites. You set the parameters, the category, and both of those pieces. So you set the parameters, and then you also choose the specific categories that kind of trigger that notification. So that's one piece. Getting back to what we were just talking about, alert word category. So if somebody types one of those words, this is more of an immediate thing. This doesn't have to take a day or looks at a day overview. This is more like, hey, if this happens, we're going to let you know right away. So alert word, notification. So maybe it's all categories. Maybe it's just the one you and I just built together, job search. Or maybe it's the swear words or inappropriate words, Click next. Maybe we want this one immediately when the second it happens. Click next. Again, same thing. It's to cover everybody. Oops. Does it cover just a group of people? Or does it cover just one person, or 3 people, or 5 people, or whatever you need? Add your email address, click add, finish, and you're all set. That way, this information is coming to you. Hey, did somebody type one of these things? Maybe you're getting these sent to the manager of a specific group, and it's just built for that group, and it gets emailed to the director of that group of people. That way, the main person, or you guys, who likely I'm speaking with right now, you guys don't always have to be the ones in the weeds looking at this stuff. Have this data, which is really invaluable stuff, sent to the people that are managing a specific group of people. Like knowing where they're spending time, knowing if they typed a specific word, knowing if they're meeting their averages for the day. That's critical stuff that they really don't have any other way of ever knowing, other than just kind of monitoring and watching what people do with your own eyes, which is never going to be, all-encompassing, I would say. So I think the value also of the software is when you get this information, which is really critical stuff, out to the people that can benefit from it, so other managers and directors or team leads and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's really the benefit and value is when you get this information to the people that can do something with it. So yeah, so that's what we'd be looking at for the notification piece. The last bullet point we were going to talk about was benefits of deploying to all endpoints. What I will say about that is kind of a common sense thing, but just for people to know that a lot of times the software is used for investigations. You're kind of looking at a group of people that you might be concerned about or that you want to understand better how they're spending their time. In reality, when you get the software out to the environment, the full environment, is when you start to see, hey, people that are even doing decently at their job have a lot of opportunity for improvement, or you learn more about what they do that makes them great at their job, or you learn about how they utilize their time, or you realize that there's pieces of your process that are not efficient, because you're seeing the details. And when you give many people a computer and a job to do, there's just no way of being aware of how they're spending their time on a daily basis without this data. I mean, there really isn't. So that's kind of the point of why it's good to get this information out to all of your people. And as far as a return goes on your investment, if you think about productivity-wise, if say you're paying somebody an average of $50,000 a year to do their job, and that equates to $25 an hour that you are paying them to do that job. If you do the numbers hours-wise, that's basically what it equates to. So if you can reduce time wasting on these people, on a group of people, say 1 hour per day, or even less, a half hour per day, which is small. If you think about the software on there, when you're seeing how people are spending time, I guarantee that you will actually be able to reduce well over a half hour, because I think we all know that it happens. So even if it was just a half hour, that means that in the span of 2 weeks, 5 days, that's 2.5 hours per week. That's 5 hours in 2 weeks. 5 hours times the $25 per hour that you're paying them, it's more than the cost of the license. So in 2 weeks, the software has essentially paid for itself. You have the software for 52 weeks. So that's a 26-to-1 ratio of return on your investment. And so again, that's conservative, to be really honest with you. It's likely that you are able to reduce that amount of time wasting, at least an hour a day, I would say, in about a week. So that's over a 50-to-1 return. So there's really not other software where you can say, hey, this is going to save us this much money. And so I do think there's value in getting it out there to everybody. If you have everyone set up on Active Directory, you'll be able to push out the licenses remotely through Active Directory. Anything where there's 20 or more licenses, that comes free, and so you'll be able to push them out remotely and silently, and installation becomes super easy. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, so that's really the last piece about value and return, I would say. I want to show you guys the mobile interface. It's a new thing that we are building, and really what it is a new interface in general. It's going to have a lot of a little bit more rich graphical representation. It'll be easy to use. The real benefit is that you can open it up on your mobile phone. So whether that's an iOS device or an Android device, you'll be able to do that. What we can do is you can always go to this website. So as of right now, and the website is viewed here, I hope you guys can see that, but it's basically login.interguardsoftware.com. And then you're using your same credentials. It's the same account. So your InterGuard login and password is the same thing. But then you're going to be able to see your active devices. You click on the device. It's going to open up and give you all of your data. There will be a little pop-up that says, hey, from the field or something. So it shows you the number of screenshots for these different triggers, Skype, Chrome. These are programs, obviously, and then you can view them, and you can kind of scroll through and quickly understand, hey, you know, what is this person doing? So kind of cool. A new interface. It's much more, I would say, clean and rich and easy to manage. At this point, it doesn't have all of the same features that our main Sonar Central account does, so I would urge you to continue to use that, because that's where you can build all these custom reports. You can set up these notifications. There are, as every day that goes by, we're adding those abilities to create settings and to customize your solution just the way you can right now with InterGuard on this mobile site as well, or on this you know, limited, I would say, kind of limited site at this point, just more basic in terms of functionality. So ultimately, it will have all of the same functionality, and so that really is just a matter of time until that's the case. So again, if you guys ever want to check it out, I'm sure you've gotten emails about it. It's login.interguardsoftware.com. Type in your username and password, and it'll show up. It'll show up as, you know, here are all of your active devices. For many of you that have multiple, you'll be able to see them, click on them, look at the data, etc. So yeah, so that's kind of an exciting thing, and that's really it. I know we were going to go over those things, so it looks like we did cover them. Let me answer any of the questions that you guys had here. So let's see. Somebody asked if there's an easy way to whitelist sites. So yeah, the software does have the ability to block websites. That is very easy to do under settings, same place we went before, recording and blocking, which is where you're, you know, turning things on or off. Under block websites, turn it on, click on settings. Easiest way to do it is to block by category, but to answer the question specifically, how do you whitelist sites? On the far right where it says allowed websites, click on that. Then you have these options, and you're going to choose the last option which says block all websites except for those of my allowed websites. So you click on that option, and then you're building your whitelist here. Or you're uploading a CSV file if you already have that list. And again, this is category specific or group specific, so you can have whitelisted sites for your sales team, and then maybe if you're admin or your executive team, you only block, you know, malicious and some of the basic categories. So yeah, so that's it. Let's see what other questions we have here. Somebody asked if the silent installer can be used to silently uninstall as well. So the answer is yes. Whenever we give you a silent installer, we also give you a silent uninstaller whenever you want to remotely pull those licenses off. Just know that, again, that always works through Active Directory. So if it's a very small environment, that's usually not going to be an option. But again, you can always remote into the machine or physically walk up the machine to both install or uninstall. We can help you with that. I see somebody else asked if there's a way they can speak with a sales rep, and so I have noted that person. I will I do see your email address, so I will reach out to you directly right after the call. So yeah, so I think that's it, everybody. So first of all, thanks guys for calling in and taking the time to walk through this. I hope it was helpful and you guys learned some new things that will add value to what you guys have already. Again, my name is Bill Evans. Any of you guys can reach out to me directly. My phone number is 203-307-2941, or you can email me at B for my first name, Bill, and then my last name, Evans, E-V-A-N-S, at awareness-tech.com. So awareness and then tech, T-E-C-H.com. So yeah, if you guys need those alert word lists, shoot me an email or give me a call. I can send it right over to you. If you want to talk about enterprise, the file tracking piece, reach out. We'll talk about what that would cost, what that would look like, and certainly get you a quote if you need it. So yeah, so thanks again, everybody, and I'm sure we will all hopefully speak soon. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.